So she lived there for so
So,
long. That's still not.
That was the beginning of it. So I think our city, our city officials are who started this. They knew what they were doing, and they proceeded to put things in place to make it happen, so they can all get credit for a friggin' shopping center that ain't nobody got no money to shop at, because there's 115 million empty buildings in this town to start with.
Oh my gosh.
I know y'all gonna have to edit me.
No.
Big time. I know. When I first started out, I just sat and bawled and cried. And
Hi, everyone.
I'm just mad, and it's like, this should not be happening to people.
Well, so right now we're live, so audience can see us right now. So, but whatever you want to say is great. The audience is going to kind of come in. They're on YouTube
You don't
watching
want to
us.
say whatever you say is great, because once I get started on this, I don't.
No, the
stop.
truth is the truth, and that's what we are. You know, we're not corporate media. It's like whatever is the truth. Whatever's the truth is what we say. So let me introduce you first.
Okay,
So this is Mindy, and if you guys watched this morning, I interviewed Michael, who works with Justice for North Fork, to kind of remind you of what happened. We'll learn a lot more about it from Mindy, but kind of the background is that folks like Mindy lived in a mobile home park called North Fork here in Moorhead, Kentucky, in Mindy's case for decades. And then suddenly, without much warning at all, they got a letter saying that they had to move out. And this was due to a greedy developer, due to the city, due to tax incentives for the developer. So basically folks who lived in North Fork for a long time had to move very quickly and were given, again, next to no notice. And this broke up the community, and folks have had to figure out where to go. Some were able to move their mobile homes. Others were not able to move their mobile homes. And there was essentially no compensation given for folks who had to move so quickly, mind you, during a pandemic. So there are a lot of layers here to get into, but I want to remind the audience, please smash the like button, please share this stream. People need to know what happened here and what is still happening here. There's an active or a lawsuit against the city that's being organized by some folks. Again, there's Justice for North Fork that's organizing and protesting and trying to get the word out about exactly what went down, where Patrick Madden, this developer, is over years to come going to get millions of dollars in tax incentives, and residents who were kicked out with little warning get nothing. So again, this is Mindy, and Mindy lived in North Fork mobile home for, what did you say, 25? So tell folks about living there, about your time there. What was North Fork like? How was the community?
I spent 25 years living there. I raised my kid there. It was a good neighborhood. It's like safe. You knew your neighbors. People helped each other out. And that's all gone because we're all everywhere now. But that's really not what I want people to know. What my story is, yeah, I want people to know my story because what happened to all of us was not right. But I want people to focus on the fact that our city government used the TIF and did not go by the rules. They just shoved it through and thought everybody would just go, oh, okay, I'll just leave, bye. No. If they're going to use that stuff and give $11.7 million to someone who is a billionaire,
One of the wealthiest men in Kentucky.
Dollars in that spot, you need to pay attention to how your tax dollars are being used, because they did nothing that the TIF says you have to do to get that money, and they just passed it on.
So that's something.
This, I mean, I don't know if you guys live in rural areas or not.
I do.
But this is a very extremely rural area where, honestly, indoor plumbing is just becoming to be a thing and like out. So you got $11.7 million to give to a man who's going to invest $32 million. Why didn't you just give $11.7 million to the people in your area who could use that money?
Absolutely. Well, so because a lot of people might not have seen earlier, let's back up a little bit and tell them what happened. So you're living in North Fork. It's a great community. From what I understand, the type of community where, you know, a neighbor will help watch a child or a grandchild, and the children play together, and everyone kind of helps each other out, which in a lot of places in America doesn't happen anymore. So then I think were there rumors that this land was going to be sold?
As long as I lived there, there were rumors about selling it. I mean, I heard stuff like that all the time. But the actual man, John, who owned the property, he died a couple years ago. But the beginning, I think, was the $2 million tax thing. And then they... Meaning,
so before we went live, Mindy was telling us about this. So explain the $2 million tax.
The city of Moorhead charged the owners of the property, John and Joanne Fraley, $2 million. That was their tax bill. They actually tried to fight it, and it didn't change anything. And those two people actually have owned property in Moorhead for years and years and years. So, I mean, how are you going to get $2 million out of people who are paying $100 lot rent? So I feel like they honestly had no choice to sell the property.
So there were about, about 70 trailers?
76.
This was on the Fraleys. I think they said it was in a farmland, so they made it into a trailer.
Times 25, you're not making $2 million, you know. Sure. But that I think that's when it all started. And then there was a thing where the city said, made whatever their little rules are, if your mobile home is older than a 1995, it cannot be inside the city limits. That trailer park has been up there for 40 years. So, you know, how many of them up there could move into... There's nowhere to go. The first time I heard about it, that we were actually going to have to move, the absolute terror of, first of all, I don't have the money to move mine. I don't have that money. What am I going to do? And then the next thing is, I start hearing people talking about where they're going to take them, and that's it. Oh, all these old trailers, nobody's going to take them. So let's just pile some more terror on. And you spend 24 hours a day just terrorized about what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? I am fixing to be homeless. And I never dreamed in all my life I would ever be homeless. I've worked my fucking ass off my whole goddamn life to make sure that I had a roof over my head, and that fucking trailer was good enough for me. And they called us a blight. That's what they said. That's how we're going to get this TIF money and give it away, because that place is a blight on the community. And everybody who lived up there has worked their butts off their whole life to provide for their families. So, you know what? They can take that and shove it. Because we have always worked. Those people have never worked for what they have. Our mayor has never dug a ditch, cleaned a house, cleaned a toilet, or whatever for minimum wage to raise her kids. She had her money handed to her. But I've worked 3 jobs, years and years and years, to raise my kid, and they call me the blight? No, I'm not the blight. They're the blight. We cannot go around and be mean to people like that and then talk bad about them. No, I'm not the blight. You are.
Wow.
They had every opportunity to help us, and they should have, according to the TIF agreement, but they didn't.
So the Fraleys who owned this property and then ended up selling it, they were in a tough spot, but you also had heard these rumors for years. And did residents try to find out what was happening? Because I know that you had, what, 45 days from the notice.
I tried to find out until recently, like last fall, when the guy came around with the Facebook where the city council was talking about it. And he's like, look at this. We're all standing out there giving the kids lunch. And it's like, what? So we're sitting there looking at it. And I don't even know how to explain how the things that they talked about, the things they said, the way they just was like pitched them out and just sit in there watching that.
You're speaking of, was Patrick Madden in that meeting or a developer?
We didn't hear anything from Patrick Madden until the New York Times, when the New York Times guy, Campbell, came and interviewed us, and Joanne admitted in that meeting, or whatever, that I didn't tell them that we were selling the property, because if the deal didn't go through, I would have been left with an empty property. So at that time, and we'd been out there screaming with our bull horns and all that so much that it gained enough attention that he finally had to address the situation. And he said that this has been in the works for 2 years. And it's like, we've been begging people to tell us what was going on, and people were like, we don't know what y'all talk about.
So the property owners, the landlords, didn't tell you guys what was happening, even though you folks were paying your rent. Right. A lot of people know about evictions because of, if folks are unable to pay or whatever. But here you guys are paying this whole time, paying the taxes, right, the rent, and trying to find out what's happening. And then you don't find out until much, much later. And then right, and then you hear that Patrick Madden and others were calling your home a blight.
When he said that had been in the works for 2 years, that's when we were all like, what? Because we've just spent days and months trying to figure this out. And like, it really and truly, is this going on right now? And we called people from our city council. People who would know, like if the deed had went through, where the property had sold. No, nothing. And they all knew that it was getting ready to happen, but they wouldn't tell us anything.
Unbelievable. And these are people's lives. This is your home for over 20 years, and they don't tell you. I think that's unimaginable to a lot of people, but this is the reality. This greedy developer. What was your first instinct of what to do when you first heard the news?
I was terrified because I had no idea what I was going to do. I mean, like, how are you going to come up with the money to move this stuff? Will it move? I mean, I'm serious. It's like, this thing has been here for years, and will it even move? How you come up with the money to move it, and then you realize that it's so old, nobody will take it. What are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, it's like absolute terror 24 hours a day, because that's always on your mind. Even if you do actually lay down and go to sleep, you're still dreaming about it. And then when you wake up, that's the first thing you think of, and you wake up and you sit there in terror. What am I going to do? I have no idea what I'm going to do.
Did you at that time start talking to your neighbors, and what was the feeling among everybody?
Well, we all constantly talked, and had meetings and talked about what we were going to do about the whole situation. So, yeah, that was a thing that we honestly ended up meeting people that we'd never known, never talked to, that now we're bonded for life now, because if you have not ever been through this, you have no idea how it feels. So that's why we all are bonded. My family's all like, you need to just do this, get over it, it's all going to be okay. When you've went through it, I'll take your free advice. But until then, shut up about it.
Absolutely. That makes complete sense. I think, too, it's something that people need to know, that you didn't get compensation for this. The Fraleys, correct me if I'm wrong, the Fraleys offered $1,000 to move, but that's not really... Yeah, so tell people how that actually went down, and if you actually got anything from this.
Well, the $1,000 that everybody keeps talking about that we all got went to a mover, somebody who was going to move your trailer. And when we're moving out, they would show up, hand in the check. Money didn't come to us. And if anybody thinks $1,000 is all this cost,
to move an entire home, that's
way more than that. The lowest amount to move a trailer is $3,000. We're all just working class people. Yeah, I got $2,000 laying over here. If I do, it ain't because I want to do that. It's because I want to go on vacation something this year. So, people acting like $1,000 was going to just cure the problem for all of us. It's all right. They got $1,000. No, we didn't. And people are still struggling now. People have already moved and paying outrageous rent. People who were paying $125 rent, who had homes that they owned, whether it was something that city council thought was good enough for them or not, it was still your home, are paying $950, $750, $650 that they don't have. I mean, how long are they going to be able to keep this up?
That's a dramatic rise. And you mentioned earlier, minimum wage jobs don't cover the cost of the new rent for a lot of people. And so one of the things that Patrick Madden said, and one of the reasons the Fraley sold the land was to build this strip mall. And Patrick Madden was convincing the city and saying, and we're going to bring all these jobs here to Moorhead. Speak on that.
There are already a ton of empty buildings where businesses have came in and created jobs, and they're all empty now. It's a minimum wage job. It doesn't matter how many businesses they put in there. It's going to end up just being another empty place. I mean, have you guys seen the empty places?
Not yet. We're going to go.
Like where Walmart used to be, that whole thing, empty. Go over to where Kroger is. All these empty buildings. This stuff doesn't help our area. People can't afford to shop there, and now people are tired of working for $7.15 and still not be able to survive. So, no, that's not going to help this area. I mean, if it does, I would love to see that happen. But all these other businesses are gone because people can't afford to shop at these places. Or they just don't want to. It's ridiculous to say that a strip mall is going to help Moorhead, Kentucky, when you already had $11 million that you actually could have done something to provide more affordable housing for people who have none, or kids who are sleeping in the floor, or parents who can't feed their kid. That $11 million could have been spent in such a better way than a strip mall in this area. It's ridiculous to say that that's what's going to help this town, and you gave all that money away to somebody who's a billionaire.
Yeah, and some background on Patrick Madden, based in Lexington, and one of the wealthiest men in Kentucky. So this is yet another example of the rich get richer. He's getting all of these tax incentives, and regular working class folks are getting minimum wage, if that, because the storefronts are closed. So if you want to speak more on the tax incentives that Patrick Madden got, because I think a lot of people don't understand TIFs.
Well, the thing that all of us who are still trying to fight and make noise, that's what we want people to understand, that it was your tax dollars, your hard-earned money that went to somebody who does not need that. I mean, he's a billionaire. Are you kidding me? And you're going to give him $11.7 million for infrastructure to go blow that hill up and build a strip mall over there. I mean, I don't know. I know people just don't realize, because I didn't either. And then there's just so many people who just turn a blind eye because I don't want to make the mayor mad. I don't want to make the city council mad. I might need them for something one of these days. So I'm just going to ignore this and go like this, put my blinders on. But it's their money that they gave away to somebody who doesn't need it. You can build a shopping center like Hamburg. Really? You need $11 million from Little Moorhead, Kentucky? What would that have done for our schools? Actual in the county, helping people get water, plumbing, all of that kind of stuff. What would that have done for this area? But a strip mall is going to be the savior of Moorhead, Kentucky.
And so people understand there is already a strip mall across the street. So now it's going to be strip malls facing one another, not paying any a living wage.
Buildings over there. Just drive through there. There's empty buildings over there. Yeah, just go ahead, build another one.
There's also folks in Madden's camp and who are in favor of this development are saying, well, okay, there were resources available to help. People could apply to get assistance. But what we found out is that that's not really what happened, that the application process to get additional help from a nonprofit was not what it purported to be, and that it was an absurd application process to get any assistance financially.
Okay, first of all, the $1,000 that was offered to the movers, if you were a renter in that neighborhood, that money did not benefit you. If someone came and told you your home would not move, that money did not benefit you. So there's all kinds of people who live there that $1,000 didn't help them to start with. And then the frontier housing money that was so available, there are people who, if there was, say, 2 people in the home and both of them had incomes, they made too much to get that money. But it was apparently donated funds. So an anonymous donor donated $30,000 to this fund to frontier housing. If that money was donated, first of all, why do you have to go through a process of filling out applications to get it? That was donated money for us. Why do you have to go through that? And then a lot of people did not qualify for that money.
What is frontier housing for folks who don't know what that is?
It's an organization that helps people, probably low income, buy homes. And I'm not sure why they got the money. Because, I mean, I've questioned that all along. Why wasn't there just another separate organization set up that had nothing to do with the city, state, county, whatever? It's just another organization set up to deal with the money that was donated for us to be able to move out. I mean, we all have no idea who it came from. But apparently, since it was given to them, they decided that it wasn't just for us, it was for anybody who had evictions, which of course, yes, if there's money to help people going through that, give it to them. But I know I think that whole little thing is shady.
Do you think that the money was actually given by a benevolent person for good purposes, or do you think it's even shadier than that?
I have no idea where the money came from. Anybody who knows where the money came from won't tell. I mean, and who has $30,000 to go here?
But it made headlines, and it made organizations look good, but in fact it didn't really benefit anybody.
It benefited very few people. I mean, I have all kinds of neighbors who just have regular jobs but made too much money to get any of that money. Or if they couldn't move their trailer, or, some people benefited, some people didn't, and it's like, how do you, I don't know. I just feel like it should have been an own separate thing that had nothing to do with the city officials, county officials, whatever. It should have just been somewhat in a fund somewhere that those people did not get to decide how that money was spent.
Talk about what you've been doing, you and others have been doing to kind of fight back, to protest, to try to right these wrongs.
Well, we've had rallies. We went to city council meetings and tried to talk to people. We went to fiscal court meetings, tried to talk to them, and they sit there and go, while we're talking, but they're not listening to a word we're saying. And they will say, these people just wanted to be heard, and we listened to them. No, they didn't. They didn't listen to a word we said. They just want us to go away, leave it alone, go away.
Earlier you were talking about the Justice for North Fork folks who we've interviewed. Michael this morning. How did they help? Because off camera, you and I were talking earlier, and you said that at times where you were feeling not able to fight, that you were kind of inspired to. If you can talk about that.
Like what times when I just felt like there's nothing I could do.
Yeah.
Well, from the very beginning of this, I knew there was nothing I could do to stop it. And that was never my intention. The person who owned the property had every right to sell it. But she should have let us know that she had that intention to sell it. That was always my thing. And all of us begging for information, and then getting a 45-day notice that says you got to be out 45 days. And it's like, we've been spending all this time begging you guys to let us know so we could prepare for this, but you're going to give us 45 days to get out. And then the threats that if you don't get out in that time, they'll just come start jerking trailers out. I mean, I've heard so much stuff from people who were in maybe management positions of the trailer park who would say things like that.
It's kind of threatening folks.
Movers who were up there and be like, y'all don't get out, they just go push you over the hill. And you're sitting there like...
I mean, you physically, like people.
Yeah, actual people saying that to us. So, like, we have been accused of being mean to people. And it's like, you're kidding. This every single day you're sitting there with people just driving around who are in positions who not just regular people, but in a position to have this information saying if you don't get out, they just gonna come bulldoze you over or push you over the hill, or they gonna jerk you out every single day. And you're standing there like, dear God, don't let this happen. Please help me.
Did people end up, did residents end up leaving, so-called on time? What did people do?
Oh, a lot of people did just jump up and get out because people were scared. And what are you going to do? And then, first of all, it rained the whole time we were supposed to be getting out. That was the issue, that it's like, I have no control over this. It's raining. The guy says, I can't move this to a Meadow. And it's, I don't know, it's just every single day listening to it. Mm. And when you're getting out, when you get out, well, when the guy can come and move me out, that's when I'm going. Until then, okay, I'll just live here, live on my porch, whatever.
If you don't mind saying, how did you figure out what you were going to do? And I know folks will want to know what your situation is.
Well, I just happened to hear about this man who, he had heard about it, and so he had some spots, and he was going to try to make spots for trailers to move to. I just happened to run into somebody who told me about that. So I called him, asked him if he would take mine because it's so old, which there are several trailers, old ones like mine, in that area. And yeah, he's like, all right. So he's been working on getting the spot fixed. Where I'm moving to, it's a spot that nothing has ever been on. So they're still working on doing water, electric, and all that. But I really appreciate the fact that he was thinking about us and took a bunch of us.
So it's really coming down to a kind person who's helping out versus the city or, you know, the folks kind of in power that are supposed to be helping out.
The people in the city, the people who have power in our government did nothing to help us. They can say they did all they want. That's not true. That's a joke. They sat and looked down their nose at us in every meeting that we ever went to, trying to get them to listen to us or give us more time, try to give us more time to get out. That's a joke that they did anything to help us, because they didn't.
That you know of, did everybody, all of the residents, find a new place to live? Is anyone struggling or unable to find a home now, or a place to rest their head?
I think, as far as the people that I know, everybody has actually found a place to live, whether it's really and truly set up or they can afford it or whatever. I think everybody is in some structure that you could call housing. It may not be sustainable for long or whatever like that, but I think everybody has finally got something.
And now that there's a lawsuit, I don't know if you're part of the lawsuit, but if you want to speak on... Hi. Hello.
Hang on a second.
Sure. So folks, smash the like button, share this important interview. This is absurd. And I always want to use the word shocking, but then I backtrack and like, no, actually it's not shocking, because this is America. This is what this country is. Patrick Madden, this absurdly wealthy developer in Lexington, Kentucky, is able to come in and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna make jobs here. I'm gonna develop here. But really, there are empty, as you heard from Michael, as you just heard from Mindy, there are empty storefronts all over the place. And even if those storefronts get filled, the new ones that are going in right where the North Fork was, it's going to pay $7.15 an hour, the minimum wage. And you can't sustain a family, you can't sustain a living like that. And so the properties, the land was around $100, $125 in rent for folks at North Fork. But now, as you've heard, people are having to pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I heard one case where someone was paying the $125 and now their new home is about $700 in rent, and it can go up from there. So how are you supposed to live like that? What are you supposed to do? Why is it the case that the media and the city can say, oh, you know, these folks got $1,000 and there's all the other rental assistance available? I saw this disgusting clip with Madden saying like, "Oh, we had opportunities for people to come speak out, and no, I didn't hear anything from anyone. I didn't hear anything negative." And then again, you've heard people saying that these residents have been called mean. Like, we should all be storming the gates. This is insane. This is complete insanity, and this happens all over the place. North Fork isn't the only mobile home park that's being sold to developers. And these aren't the only residents who are being wrongly evicted and getting nothing for it. But hi, kitty. Why is the media like covering for these wealthy developers? I think we know the answer to that. I think we know the answer to why they could say, "Oh, folks are getting all this money and everything's fine. They got what they needed." That's not the case at all. We know that the residents didn't get the money. We know that the other money that was supposed to go to residents that was donated was essentially impossible for anyone to actually get their hands on because of the extensive application process. As Michael said, some reported that the application was more difficult to go through than getting a bank loan. And this was money that was earmarked for them. So it doesn't make any sense. This is completely outrageous. And you've heard also now that residents have been protesting through Justice for North Fork. It is getting some coverage. I did see a New York Times article come out recently about it, but it's still not known enough. And earlier today, right when I was live with Michael back in Louisville, the news broke that the eviction moratorium is actually being extended. So originally it was to end, what day is it? So today's the 24th. It was supposed to end in 6 days. And it's been extended now through July 30th, which is good. So that means not in all cases. So remember this, remember the loopholes. These North Fork folks were evicted. Other folks were evicted for other reasons. So the moratorium applies in situations where there's non-payment or the inability to pay due to COVID. So the CDC has extended that. But again, that doesn't prevent everyone from being evicted, and that money is going to come due for those folks. So yeah, we were speaking on the lawsuit. If you can talk more about that, if you're involved in that, anything you're able to say about the lawsuit.
There are like 7 of us who are involved in the lawsuit. Me, Penny, and some other residents. And it's just something that's trying to force city government, something to show how they went about using the TIF agreement the wrong way. There are so many things in that they were supposed to do to get that money to give to Patrick Madden, and they did not do one of them. Not one. So,
any examples of which?
We're all supposed to be law-abiding citizens, but our city government can break the law, and that's fine. No, that should never happen. They should not be able to just do what they want to with that without going through what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to do impact studies to see how it was going to affect people who live there. They were supposed to come around and interview people. None of that ever happened. They just took that money, they gave it to him, and they didn't care what happened to us. In the city council meeting that the guy came, the first one that we saw that was on Facebook, one of the city council members, someone said, "What about the people who live there?" And he said that those people are not my concern.
That was a city council member.
Council member, is it not your concern to take care of the people in your community? Why would you be on city council if the people in your community are not your concern? So obviously he's doing that for some other reason than he wants to help the people in his community. And everybody's just been like that, like, we don't care about those people. They're a blight, get them out of here. but they're the blight because they are the people who have shown that they don't care about you unless you make the same income and live in a nice house like they do. They do not care about you. And that's the people who are running our town.
Do you know if anyone in the town is connected to development? If anyone, anyone in the government in Moorhead is kind of benefiting?
I don't think so. Well, who knows? Because there are people in our city government who are wealthy, so maybe they are connected to it. I just think it's a thing that we're going to do this, and then I'm going to get credit for the rest of my life that I brought this to the town and helped people. That's what I think the whole thing is about. They all just want to have this on their little badges or whatever. We brought all these jobs to Moorhead. We brought all this to Moorhead. We already have 2 empty shopping centers, so let's go build another one.
What does North Fork look like right now? What stage are they in?
Nothing. There is nothing there. It's mowed down. It's mowed down.
What, I mean, I think the answer is probably obvious, but how does that make you feel? That was your home for so long.
I'm so homesick. I can't stand it. I just want to go home, but my home ain't there no more. I just want to go home.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Whenever I take Penny to work, she works at Lowe's. When I take Penny to work, we have to drive by there. We turn, just to try to, don't look, turn in. And then when I'm leaving, after I drop her off, I'm sitting there at the light, and that's what I'm looking at.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
There ain't nothing there. If you want to talk.
Yeah, do you want to join? Yes.
Penny's situation is actually worse than mine is.
I can sit in that chair, I guess, or?
Yeah, that's fine.
Hi, Penny. I'm Jen. It's so nice to meet you.
Actually, okay, yeah, that's fine. Penny, you want to sit over here?
So, Penny, thank you for coming on. I know you've had a long day at work, I'm sure. How long did you live in North Fork?
I was actually only there for a year.
Okay.
My ex-son-in-law had gave me the trailer. I don't drive, and I do work at Lowe's, so I could walk to work. I had a storage building before he gave it to me. Lived in one little bedroom. It was a RV that had been converted into an apartment. It didn't have much space, and so he gave me a 2-bedroom, 2-bath trailer. I could walk to work within 10 minutes. I got off work at 3. I have to sit and wait an hour to get on the bus to come home. I was told that my trailer would not move. The day after I moved out of the trailer, Addie Plank hooked to it and took it straight to his lot.
Who is that?
He's the one that moved them all.
Okay.
I didn't get no money for the trailer. He didn't offer me any money for the trailer. He said I abandoned it.
So you were told, so just to kind of back up again, you were told that this trailer is unmovable, there's nothing we can do.
Right.
So basically he stole it from you.
Yes. I mean, that's how he got by with it. That's how he got by with taking everyone that he took. And he took a bunch of them. Because we left them on that lot. We abandoned them.
And what else were you supposed to do? Even if you were told, okay, we can move this trailer, the so-called $1,000 that everyone's saying you guys got, which you did not get, that doesn't cover it.
No, it don't cover it. And where I work, and I make for here, I make $13 an hour. That's decent money for here. I make too much money. I mean, you know, Frontier Housing has so many stipulations, and you had to go through this rigmarole to, you know, and I made too much money. I make too much money for anything, you know, any kind of assistance. So I just lost my home, you know, and I'm right back to renting, and, you know, thank heavens, you know, one of the contractors that come in all the time, Tina Hatfield, she's working with me. She's reduced the rent for me. It was going to be $750, and she's dropped it down to, well, she dropped it to $7, and now she's paying me $40 a month to keep the porches swept off. So I'm down to $660. So thank heavens.
Which is a far cry from 125.
Well, true. Yeah. I mean, you know, I went from $125 a month to $660. Thank heavens that she allows me to have my animals, because they're my babies. I mean, I have babies. I have real babies, but they're grown. And I love them, you know, and it took me a while to find a place to go. I was not out by the April 30th. Joanne, the day that I was taking all of my big stuff out of the trailer, you know, and I mean, I was trying to go. I was. But the day that I was trying to take everything out, she showed up there. I called when my son-in-law gave me that trailer. We started calling her and the property manager. They never would pick up. The day of, she comes up there and says to him, you know, it's so nice to finally, that was part of the problem. The lease was in his name. The trailer was in my name. Because they wouldn't answer the phone. And she asked him, you know, she said, why didn't you all switch it? He said, we tried. You all wouldn't answer. But now that all of this is going on, you blow me up. You're calling me 4 or 5 times a day, and I'm at work. She done me the same way. It was constant. I mean, you seen that 5315, you knew who it was. I'm at work. I can't talk to you right now. I'm at work.
And they were calling to what? Make sure you were leaving?
When you getting out? When are you getting out? You can't have much longer. I'll go when I can go. And if that's not quick enough for you, file papers is all I can tell you. I mean, that's all I can say to you. File papers. Because I'm not going anywhere until I find some place to live. And I wound up getting this place June 1st. I've been here since June 1st. So, you know, I was fortunate, and Catholic something out of Lexington paid the deposit for me. So that was money that I saved, a blessing. And I'm satisfied here. I mean, it's a nice place, so it'll be all right. You know, I can still get to work and support myself, and hopefully this will all go away.
Well, I think it's interesting to point out that.
I mean, Jenn, I could sit when you know, like I said, I work at Lowe's. I could walk out from the garden center, or out into the garden center, and see my trailer. And now I look over there and there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. Gone. We're begging for help. I mean, absolutely begging. They're hollering all these wonderful jobs that's going to happen. You can't get people to work. We've got restaurants offering $1,000 bonuses for people to come to work. The dining rooms here can't open because they don't have people to work. And so we need this we've got empty storefronts sitting in right across the street from where they're fixing to build them. Now, that's just my personal opinion. Right. I can't prove that, but...
You know, he said that Moorhead doesn't want this shopping center. We're not going to force it on him.
Mindy,
He said that in an interview.
Mindy, why don't you come sit? Yeah, we'll have you both on. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll work great.
I mean, I just, I don't know. It's sad. It's a sad thing. You know, it really is.
And the thing of it is, whenever this very first started happening, I was talking to Morgan about it, and she said, Mommy, the same thing is happening in a community in Memphis that she had heard about.
Is Morgan your daughter?
Yes. And so this has happened all over the country. Okay, the TIF money that they used to give to Patrick Madden is money that started out in California, and it was used. The purpose of the money is to take neighborhoods that are in need of help,
Right.
and that's what that money is supposed to be used for. By the time it gets to Kentucky, it's used to just throw people out of where they live. That is not what that money was originally used for. That's not what it was originally designed for. Not to throw people out.
Community that was in despair,
Right.
and build it up, not
Right.
not destroy it.
Not take it and just throw people out. That's not what that money was originally designed to use.
No.
And when you read it, what all that money is for, it's like it takes a little bit to read it, because I had to start over 500 times and I'd read it, start over, and then finally I realized the things they were supposed to do and how it was supposed to be used. And our judge executive, is that what Harry Clark is, has publicly said in several meetings, we did not know how to use it, which is just a saving face thing, because they knew exactly what they were doing. If you didn't understand how you were supposed to use this money, then why did you go ahead and do it? And he is sit there in meetings with his head down, reading his little statement, going, we didn't really understand what we were doing there. Bullshit.
I mean, even down to the point to where he told us, you all knew about this before we did.
And we're going, no, we were begging to get information, and
Yeah.
nobody would tell us. And people actually called him. I stood there while people called him on the phone, and he said, no. I've called him and said, man, is this land selling? There ain't no deed being processed. And he already knew what was going on, and he could have said, there is a potential that that property is being sold,
Right.
but I'm not going to tell you because...
Well, I mean, Joanne even said, she didn't tell us. I mean, she said that in the New York Times.
Fraley, the landlord.
Yeah, she said in the New York Times, I didn't tell them because if the deal fell through, I didn't want to be sitting here with an empty lot. I mean, that's in the New York Times.
And that's the same thing where Harry said that about where we were all being so mean to.
Yeah.
I didn't think they'd all get so mean. And it's like, you're sitting there, he's saying we're being mean, and we're all like, really? We ain't been mean to nobody.
No. We were informed that we would all be able to speak. There was 3 of us that she allowed to talk, and then she shut us up. I mean, pretty much said, sit down, and shut up.
In the city council?
Yes. In the city council meeting.
Yeah.
And Mike, he said we were told that we could all speak. She said, that's at my discretion, and I said, it's enough.
And she went,
Yep, and cut the cameras.
So clearly there was no none of the people in power wanted to help. None of them wanted to listen.
No.
All they cared about is the money.
Yep.
And
they don't care about the money. What they want is to get the credit for, we made all these jobs for
Right.
this area.
Yep.
Everywhere you drive through in this town, there is a help wanted sign. Ain't no jobs needed here.
Nope.
Everybody's hiring. A strip mall ain't going to help anything.
And according to Patrick Madden, and now we know that this was in the works for a couple of years. So that means before you moved in, right?
Right.
And so they let you move in, pay taxes, pay rent, and they knew that this was happening.
And move from a place that you were fine with to move out there. Right. Listen, we actually, like one of our little sessions where we were all sitting around having lunch with our kids back last fall, one of my neighbors called the property manager and said, I need a spot. I need a spot. Is there any spots up there? Yes, there is. So within 2 months, a couple months of them getting ready to send us letters that we had to move out, they were still willing to rent lots to people and take their $500 deposit, let somebody move a trailer up there that was going to turn around and cost them thousands of dollars to move it again in just a couple months. They were still willing to rent spots out. I don't have one right now, but I will in a couple weeks. I sit there and listen to that phone call myself. And I'm not the only one who was there. There was a bunch of us. And that was just us trying to get him to tell us that, no, I can't rent out spots to you because we're fixing to sell the property. So, no, I can't do it.
Wow.
But we're the mean people.
Yeah.
We're the mean people.
Right.
I didn't realize those people would get so mean.
Right.
What could he even point to in saying that people are mean, meaning protesting against this inhumane action?
Us with the bullhorn. I mean, that's, you know, when the last city council meeting that we went to, there was more cops than there was us. Honest.
I know they brought the cops out for a bunch of people. Yeah. And it's like, if you got to bring the cops out for me.
Told Mike if he didn't shut up, that he would be escorted out. Mike kept on talking.
Mike, meaning Justice for North Fork Mike.
Yes, Mike Harris. And she looked at the chief of police and said, and we all got up and went out with him. I mean.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. What would you say to folks who are maybe facing this sort of thing themselves?
Right. Don't give up. Make it known. This is not going to get us any monetary value at all, but it's going to put out there just how heartless our city government is.
And
just how shady and uncaring that they are.
And it happens all over the United States.
All over the United States.
And people ignore it and let it happen because these are people who are just poor, so they don't matter.
That's right. That's right.
These people don't matter.
That's right. They'll tuck their tail and go away.
Well, not
But
something.
they got fooled. But they got fooled.
Meaning that would be what people say about you guys.
Right.
One of the things that Mike was saying is the perception of the folks who live in Eastern Kentucky is one thing, and you folks are presented in a certain way that folks think they can pull the wool over your eyes and get one over on you. What's your response to that?
They full of shit. They thought we was all just dumb and going to pack our shit up and move out, and they found out that wasn't going to happen. Of course, we didn't stop anything, and we weren't trying to stop it.
No.
We were not trying to stop it.
No,
we were
was
trying
not.
to get more time to get our stuff together and move out, and that was it. And then bring light to the situation.
Right. Yeah.
Bring light to the situation.
Yeah.
That was it.
This is not the last trailer park this is going to happen in Moorhead, Kentucky. It's not. Guarantee it. It's going to happen again. There's too many big parks. My daughter lives in 801. They're already clearing it. It'll wind up being an industrial park. They've already got the App Harvest out there. They have the Dollar General Distribution Center out there. They've done the roundabout there at 801. It's coming.
And the dollar store can sell alcohol now.
The dollar store, yeah, there at Cave Run Lake can sell alcohol.
Yeah.
It's out in the
that's
boons. I mean, it's
that's
out in the
exactly
middle of
gonna be
nowhere.
The next target for
I think so. Her trailer park sold last year. She went from paying $165 to $250. She's not allowed to have a window unit in her trailer.
So does that mean it's just hot in there? Nothing.
Yeah.
If you can't afford
If
to
you
buy
can't afford to buy the central.
unit, yeah, so then you sit there and roast.
And you roast. There's no trees.
If you ain't never sat in a trailer in the baking sun all day, I mean,
Yeah.
you'll sit there and die because it gets
Right.
hot.
Yep. So
It
they live
gets
at the lake,
hot, and it gets
so they can
cold.
stay cool. They're not 5 minutes away from the lake.
And you
But
got your kids sitting there in misery.
Right.
You can't cook.
You can't sleep.
do nothing.
No.
You can't cook. You can't sleep. You can't do anything.
right, but I do believe that they're next, and if they're not, it's going to be Clearfield, because they've already got the plans in work to upgrade the school. It's coming. It's we're not the last one.
Well, what's next for you guys in this fight for justice?
We've got the lawsuit up against them. I mean, like I said, it's not going to bring anything to us. It's just shedding the light of how we were done, how we were treated.
And you're next. And you're next.
And yeah, that's it, Don't think it can't happen to you, because it happened to
If
us.
you rent anywhere, this can happen to you.
Yep.
If you are a renter and you do not own your own property with your own house on it, this can happen to you.
Right.
Because it happens everywhere. I didn't realize this happened. Like when Morgan said that to me about Mommy, this is going on in a town or area in Memphis. I was like, I never heard of that before. I didn't hear nothing about it.
No.
I had no idea.
One of the representatives, I think she was from Louisville, wasn't she? The black woman from Louisville. Was she Louisville?
Oh. What is her name?
I can't remember.
The councilwoman?
Yeah.
Attica?
Attica.
Yeah,
That's her. She said it was going on in Bowling Green, Somerset.
There's a place in Bowling Green that's going on. I think there's a place that's going on in Louisville that Josh Poe and
Yeah.
I think Mike and Bo maybe are working on that. But yeah, it's going on in Bowling Green in a neighborhood. It's going on everywhere in the United States, but we don't hear about it because the news doesn't care about this kind of stuff. Nobody in the news media cares about this. Why would we care about them little poor people? Let's just send them on their way.
And that's something too from our perspective, because we're completely independent media and we purposefully focus on stories that aren't covered or aren't getting enough coverage. And it's got to be so frustrating I know the New York Times finally did a piece. It was, very New York Times-ish, but it has to be frustrating to want to get your story out and to need to get your story out because others are going through it too or will.
Which we've done pretty good about that. Actually, the very first person who ever got news media on it was Ashley Nicole Cottle. She's a person, and she had already moved from the trailer park, and she called somebody, got the media on it. And then from there, it was like, okay, well, I'll listen to it now.
Yeah. Wow.
Yet if it hadn't been for her, Angela Rowe got wind of it, and then she called the Listening Project, and they had a meeting at Fountain Park. I went down there to that, and then we went out to the trailer park and started talking to people and just trying to get people to understand what's going on here, what's going on. It shouldn't be right for this to happen to us.
Is there any way that folks watching at home can help, or any social media or anything you want people to know in general?
I think we've pretty much covered it all. I mean, we want our story heard, and
What you need to pay attention to is when you're going to the polls to vote, you really need to understand what these people have who you're voting for. You need to pay attention to who you're voting for and see if what they are saying they want to do aligns with what you want for your community. and if you actually believe that they're going to do what they say they're going to do.
Very good. I appreciate you both. I'm so sorry for everything you've been through. And you heard it, folks. Share their stories. Help this get out. Post it on your social media. Spread the word, because you heard it. This can happen to you. This can happen to those you love. And, you know, the greedy developers, the Patrick Maddens of the world are all around. The billionaires got richer during the pandemic, and everyday working class folks did not.
To start this when there was a pandemic going. I mean, really? But yet you tell me to wear a mask at work.
Right.
But it's all right, go to the street.
Well,
You know? And the money that this place is going to bring, it's not staying here. It's not going to help Rowan County, not in the least.
no, the actual development company is from Atlanta, Georgia. The actual development company is from Atlanta, Georgia. I talked to one of my neighbors last night, and he works all day as a mechanic, and he said, I went to the creek and took a bath because they don't have water and electric at their house yet. I went to the creek and took a bath.
This is America in 2021 that this is happening.
Her trailer's been sitting on her lot now for over a month. She didn't get her sticker till, what, Tuesday? Monday?
Well, I noticed it Tuesday, but you can't have it until you have to have it to get your electric. And it's like every day I'm like, how about that sticker? I don't know what that sticker means, but everybody keeps saying I need some kind of sticker. We'll get it to you. We'll get it to you. We could go on about this, but we do not need to be talking about that.
No. Let's keep that one under our hat.
Yeah.
Well, we very much appreciate you guys and folks at home. Just share this, spread the word. I will be updating with behind the scenes pictures and blog posts and things like that. If you go to statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic, statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic. Jordan, do you have any words you want to share?
I'd like to know.
Jordan's off camera.
I'd like to know from these fine folks. I'd like to know from these fine folks. We hear all of his talk in the media. President Biden, the economy's coming back. Everything's back to normal. Well, if this is normal, that's not a good country, I would say.
I mean, you go from 125 and able to walk to work in 10 minutes, and now I'm paying $660 and
riding a bus.
riding a bus.
Having to wait and waste part of your day.
How much more in the morning, and then how much more?
Right.
She got home at 4:30 today, but she got off work at 3.
So, if this is normal, well, it's going to be my normal. I mean, I have no choice, I have to be able to support myself. I have to. I'll never drive again. I was in a car wreck, and it's a phobia. Mm-hmm. So that's not somebody could give me a brand new Mercedes. It wouldn't change a thing for me. Because
if they do, I'll take it.
You deserve it.
Yeah, well.
But I mean, it wouldn't change my situation.
Sure.
Right. So.
Well, I went from living at North Fork Trailer Park, where there was Kroger, Walmart, everything. I would fill my car up with gas and literally have gas in my car for weeks. And where I moved to, is it not BFE?
It is.
Honey, I finally live in I'm finally a hillbilly. I live in a holler.
You are.
BFE, what's...
BFE, I'm finally a true hillbilly, because now I live in a holler in eastern Kentucky. Proud citizen.
Wear it proudly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so folks, again, share this. Go to statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic. We will be doing more reporting tomorrow from Charleston, West Virginia, and we appreciate you all. Share, share, share. Thank you so much, Mindy and Penny. Just incredible.
Wait, I do have one more thing I
Sure,
want
you
to
could
say.
talk as long as you
No,
want.
this is just one more thing that I need to say. Whenever those people called us a blot, and said it publicly. That hurt my feelings so bad.
Yes.
And I still cannot get over how that
No.
felt to hear that.
Or when Patrick Madding said, I haven't taken possession of the trailer park because I don't want to deal with those
people.
Those people. Not residents. Those
people.
I
raised,
like we're trash,
right.
or we're
right.
I don't know. Bugs.
I raised my daughter in that trailer park from the time she was 6 years old, and she turned out to be a good kid. And there is, I don't know what it is in her, but she was proud to have been raised in that trailer park.
Little
and she would
Shayna.
tell you, I'm proud of that's where I grew up. And it's like, you can say whatever you want to about it, or say whatever you want to about me. But she's proud of where she came from.
That's home.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
She's proud of where she came from.
Wow.
I was raised in a trailer park in eastern Kentucky, and I'm proud of it. She'll tell you that.
Yeah. Little
And she
Shayna's the
turned
same
out
way.
fine.
Oh yeah, she did. She's a good
She
kid.
turned out fine.
She's a good kid.
Poor as damn dirt, but she turned out fine.
Yep.
And this is America. So, wow. Yeah, share
I hope
this,
you guys
guys.
said it, half the stuff I've said, like bad words.
Thank you, guys. We'll be back tomorrow.